Before we get started with today's swell video, have you ever desired to play as me and my bestest butt buddies from the Barney Bunch in the Nintendo Switch port of Miitopia? Well, now you can. All you need to do is enter this access code and you will unlock myself, my fattest husband Barney the triple testicle dildosaur, Ronald the goddamn penis clown McDonald, Dick the clown, and the Quaker queer. Sure, they don't look like the swell hunks of man meat you would expect, but I assume you can edit them to your liking. You'll also get a couple me's that you probably won't use or give a shit about, but the prospect of sending me and my butt buddies in a quest will be well worth it. Again, enter this access code, which I'll also leave in the description of this video, and you can make your Miitopia experience all the more swell. Anyway, into the actual video. Hello, my name is Pickles and today I am going to explain my reasons for not starring as.
Hold on a second, Drew. You aren't going to tell this story without me, are you?
What the fuck? What are you doing here, Stu? Can't you see I am getting ready to tell my swell viewers my reasons for not starring in a movie?
Well, I figured if you are going to talk about that movie that I know you are going to talk about, then I would like to pitch in too.
No way. You know I run solo for these videos. Besides, you wouldn't contribute any meaningful information.
I insist. You better let me tag along or else I will release that sex tape of you and Charlotte to the Barney Bunch.
Oh my fucking god. You wouldn't care. My reputation with the Barney Bunch would be over.
I certainly would, you 300-mile-long cocksucking faggot. Think of it as me getting back at you for all the times you fucked my ass when we were kids and now you went on to become the figurehead for the Steakonia community, while all I am known for is my devotion to feet and chocolate pudding.
Ugh, alright, fine. You're worse than Barney. But only this once. You try and ask this again, or, if you ever release that sex tape, I'll shove my cock so far down your mouth that you will never be able to lick any feet ever again. Let's go ahead and get this started.
Ooh, this is gonna be swell. Yes, let's get started now.
Hello, my name is Pickles, the most homosexual man in the world.
And I am his bisexual and foot-obsessed brother, Stu Pickles.
And today we will be explaining our reasons for not starring as the titular characters in the infamous Super Mario Bros. Movie from 1993. It is quite the swell and crazy story, so gather round and whip out your cocks in anticipation, as I and my brothers to tell you this honorific tale. So back in the early 1990s,
Drew? Would you mind if I tell them this part?
God damn it, Stu. Fine, you can tell them about it, though it is by no means as accurate as I remember.
Oh, shut the fuck up. You were there with me when the whole thing started. Well, anyway, you see, back in the early 1990s, there was some big news that the video game company Nintendo was looking to give their mascot Super Mario his own feature-length movie. This was big news, as it would be the first feature film to be based off of a video game. Several directors pitched ideas but would ultimately turn down the offer until husband and wife duo Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel, who were responsible for the underground television series Max Headroom, were chosen as the directors. At the same time, our family was getting ready to work for Nickelodeon on their new line of animated programs, with our show, Rugrats, set to air later in 1991. Drew found out about the movie and said this would be a swell opportunity for me to get my acting skills in place, because unlike my faggot brother, I spent my time making inventions as opposed to being in gay pornos, with a three-testicle dinosaur and two faggot clowns.
I swear to our father's sagging and wrinkled foreskin, you better not try and push my buttons or your ass is gonna get it. Anyway, we headed over to Hollywood in my penis car and asked the directors if we could get a role in the movie, and we even insisted in some changes to make the movie even sweller. But as you would have expected, Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel turned down our script and we left the film, and they got Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo to play the iconic plumber duo.
Kind of a bizarre choice of cast, if you ask me, but I digress.
Anyway, what sort of changes did we want? Welcome the everlasting fuck down, you little shits. We were getting to that part. So anyway, Stu, want to take it away?
I thought you'd never ask Drew. The first and most obvious change you would insist on was a change of cast. Drew and I would of course be Mario and Luigi respectively, though we sort of played the Italian stereotype up a bit high. Mario would have been extremely hairy and he would love to plunge the asshole of any unsuspecting male with his 300-mile-long plunger, while I as Luigi would be getting aroused with any foot job I received. The role of Princess Daisy would have gone to my wife Dee, even though Drew didn't want her on set, not realizing that Luigi and Daisy do get together in the finished film. I think he was jealous that Mario didn't score one in the movie and we had to write in one. Guess your fattest husband was in another castle. For the antagonistic Bowser, or King Koopa as he was referred to at the time, Drew suggested bringing on his rival, the Cube Muppet, where he would be the ruler of the dystopian parallel reality that was inhabited by a bunch of Cube Muppets as opposed to reptilian humanoids like in the finished film. His goal of evolving humanity was replaced with turning every male on Earth into a Cube Muppet sex slave so that he can get his ever so desired sexual satisfaction. For the role of the Goombas, who look nothing like they did in the games, they would be played by the various members of the Cubic family, who would do Cube Muppet spitting. The Cube Beaker, Cube Muppet's brother and sex slave, would have taken the role of Koopa's love interest in the movie. Iggy and Spike would have been played by Ronald the Goddamn Penis Clown McDonald and Dick the Clown, and Drew insisted on replacing Big Bertha, you know, that giant fish that devours you in Mario 3, who for some reason was made a humanoid in the film, with Grimace the talking testicle. Toad would be played by Chaz the Fister Finster, and finally we have Drew's fattest husband Barney the Triple Testicle Dildosaur, who at the time was still his boyfriend and favorite butt buddy, playing Yoshi, who was rewritten as Mario's lover at the end of the movie. And now, we have those super soul-sucking plot details.
The finished movie opens with a cheaply animated sequence like it was ripped out of a Philips CGI game explaining that the meteorite impact that caused the mass extinction at the end of the Cretaceous period actually opened up a parallel dimension that allowed the dinosaurs to evolve into humanoids. Has a lot to do with Super Mario Bros., right? Well, our version had even more to do with the Mario series, as it opens with the Cubic family going on another ill-fated quest for sexual satisfaction until a massive butt plug falls from the sky and presumably kills them. But instead, it opens up a parallel dimension that allows the Cubic family to further colonize and take over. We cut to a scene of a woman leaving behind an egg when the Cube Muppet Koopa pops out and demands to know the location of a fragment of the butt plug so he can ram it up his ass, but when she refuses he just smacks her to death with his froggy cock. Cut to 20 years later and we see a swell plumbing brothers down on their luck, because the local construction company, who is actually run by the mafia, are trying to kick us out. So we decide to serve up our own brand of plumbing justice and drive to their headquarters and proceed to rape them with our plumbing tools like your Tommy guns are no match for our plumbing tools. Plunging your asshole is very swell. You have more hair in your scrotum than my father has on his head. Now we are raping with power. Luigi is fondling your feet. The suck in our Italian sausages. We're draining the pipes like bag. That was swell.
After that swell ordeal, I as Luigi meet up with Daisy, who was investigating a clump of mysterious pubic hair underneath the Brooklyn Bridge as opposed to looking for fossils in the finished film. We then go on a date and head back home, where Daisy gives me the swellest foot job ever. Ooh. And let me tell you, Dee knows how to give a swell foot job. But then Mario walks in and gets so disgusted that he proceeds to vomit up all the semen he drank from the mafia men he ripped earlier and then proceeds to lap up his vomit. Once he does so, Iggy and Spike, who are under the employment of King Koopa, come barging in BDSM gear, and Mario gets so horny that he decides to have an orgy with them. But while they are in the midst of fucking each other, they drop a massive Cleveland steamer all over Mario's face and proceed to kidnap Daisy, saying that Koopa needs to speak to her. I pursue her with Mario catching up after that steamer, and then we all enter a magical portal shaped like the Goatsy Man's asshole, which transports them to Cubie Hatton, where everyone is a higgly advanced cube muppet of some kind. Because they are hardcore faggots, Iggy and Spike ultimately give Daisy back to me, saying that her female presence was making them uncomfortable. The reason why King Koopa wanted her was because her necklace was made out of the same material that the massive butt plug was, and he wants to find the missing piece so he can use it in his quest to merge the dimensions and turn every male in the human world into a cube muppet sex slave so that they can finally give him his ever so desired satisfaction. We also learn that Daisy was actually the princess of this world before the Cube Muppet overthrew the king, who would have been played by our gay-ass father Luke Pickles, and turned him into a massive wad of pubic hair, and proceeded to kick every female out or sentence them to death. He is with his lover and sex slave, the cube Beaker, lamenting at the fact that he will never get his desired satisfaction, then proceeds to try and get some from Iggy and Spike, but they bolt out of there. He then hears about the Mario brothers and becomes comes pissed off that Mario is 100 times gayer than him as he sends his pubic Goomba henchman after us.
When Luigi and I finally arrive in Koopa Heaven, we begin to have a massive orgy with Toad, who is against Koopa's pubic rule and sings swell songs which has dialed on guitar, but then the cops arrive, after we shove Toad's guitar up his ass, which causes Chaz to utter his iconic scream in a Toad voice. It would have been so piss your pants funny. We are taken to the jail, where we proceed to have a massive gay Koopa orgy with the other prisoners, but not before Koopa barges in and takes me, Luigi, and Toad, to the Pube Evolution Chamber, which was later turned into the De-Evolution Chamber that Koopa uses to turn people into Goombas in the finished film. In our take however, it turns people into Pube Muppets, and he uses it on poor Toad, who becomes becomes a Pube Muppet. It's a fate worse than being straight. Luigi and I manage to escape and the Goombas give chase. But in typical fashion, we just fuck all of them, and I know what you all are wondering, but Drew, does that mean you are giving them sexual satisfaction, if they are all Pube Muppets? To which I say calm the everlasting fuck down, these actually weren't the pubes themselves, we would have overlaid them with sexy men in costumes. We made sure that those little faggots didn't get any marital satisfaction. Also, why the hell aren't there any P&G images of the remaining pubes bar the Pube Muppet himself? You would think that somebody would have fucking given us decent images without a white background, and trying to do it is a right old pain in the ass.
Drew? You're getting a little off topic here.
Oh shit, sorry about that Stu. Anyway, Luigi and I find ourselves in a desert of pubic dandruff, with Spike and Iggy hot in our asses, having been turned extremely horny by Koopa, as opposed to being turned intelligent like in the finished film. Meanwhile, Daisy is taken to Koopa's neon sex castle, which, as stated before, he stole it from the original king, and takes Daisy to a special room, where they meet Yoshi, who was Koopa's pet and former sex slave who was abused by Koopa for not giving him any sort of satisfaction. Daisy and Yoshi form a temporary alliance in exchange for Yoshi getting a gay lover who isn't a neglectful and abusive pile of shit like Koopa. They make their escape and this pisses Koopa off so much that he throws a tantrum like an autistic man-child. In order to calm his nerves he then calls up a random establishment to demand a bunch of crazy things in order to get his ever so desired sexual satisfaction. And yes, this was later replaced in the finished film with the running gag of Koopa ordering a pizza, but it was nowhere near as funny as what was going to be in there originally. He also explains to his Goomba minions in how to use their Pube Evolution guns, which turns anyone into a Pube Muppet sex slave, but they are using them as dildos. And they would have looked more like actual cocks, as opposed to being repainted Super Nintendo Super Scopes like in the finished film.
Meanwhile, Iggy and Spike catch up to Mario and I and we start having a massive orgy. The two then explain that they are tired of working for faggot like Koopa and want to team up with us. In exchange, they will tell us the location of the necklace, as well as Daisy. We agree and we head to the Big Boom Bar, which was turned into a gay strip club in our version of the film as opposed to being a nightclub, and is run by Big Grimace. Mario tries to seduce him upon our arrival, and Big Grimace becomes super horny and demands that he and Mario have a massive orgy. While they do so, Mario shoves the necklace up his ass, and Iggy and Spike are rubbing their feet all over my cock and balls. It was very swell. But before the orgy could end, the Pube Beaker and some Goombas spot us and give chase. He then gives Mario a cavity search and steals the necklace and leaves. Big Grimace then gives us some swell flump stumpers, which are shoes, powered by farts and are excellent for cock and ball torture, and we use them to make our escape. We then hijack a dildo delivery truck and head over to Koopa's castle, where Koopa is having a conversation with an ever-growing vat of pubic hair, which was supposed to be the mass fungus in the finished movie. When we finally arrive in the tower, we proceed to use all the pipes as dildos, and then don on the iconic outfits that are only seen in like the last half of the movie. To celebrate, we have a massive orgy. Meanwhile, Pube Beaker and Koopa get into an argument over who gets control of the necklace. Pube Beaker also plans to get sexual satisfaction for himself, and tries to rape Iggy and Spike, only for Yoshi and Daisy to come in and Yoshi smothers Pube Beaker to death with his massive ballsack. They then help Iggy and Spike get away as we evade the Goombas in the elevator, who are busy dancing to the YMCA song. We reunite with Daisy and the gang and Yoshi immediately falls in love with Mario, and then they both start having an orgy. However, this is short-lived as Koopa finally captures both me and Daisy and begins his plan to merge the dimensions and evolve every male on Earth into a Pube Muppet sex slave. The scene of Koopa arriving in Brooklyn and evolving someone into a chimpanzee would have been replaced with him turning them into a cute Muppet sex slave. And this is where we lead into the swell climax. He then takes Daisy, who has the power to merge the dimensions, something Christian wishes he could do. We then trick Koopa with a bomb that he wants to use as a butt plug, but it explodes and he gets pissed off. This allows Daisy to remove the part of the butt plug using her sheet, and Koopa starts throwing a tantrum like an autistic grandchild. While he does, Mario and I use some cube revolving guns that we were using as dildos and fire it at Koopa, turning it into a normal cube Muppet and then firing it again and turning it into a pile of common pubic hair, which Mario starts using as lube. And this causes the chin to turn back to normal. We then head to the chamber and me, Mario, and Yoshi start having a massive orgy, while Daisy and I have a swell time too. And do you know what it sounded like, Drew?
Of course. If I recalled, it would have went something along the lines of my prince has arrived in my castle. Swing your cup from side to side. Come on, it's time to go to Mario. Take one thrust, and then again. Come on, it's time to fuck my ass. All together now. You got it. Put that Pizza Hut pizza in my ass. Pasta fiddle. Using the bonbons, flop stoppers, and cube evolution guns to build the soul. If dropping his two eggs in my face to fondling the king's pubic hair like God, Luigi is sucking off Daisy's feet. Using the vomit as well. As best we could, but Scoop's remains in there. I hope he made lots of spaghetti. In my mushroom. Don't forget the Alfredo sauce. Hey, that was swell. Now stop the fucking music. And so, the movie wraps up with the Earth saved and Koopa heading free from Koopa's hairy rule. Me and my fattest dildosaur boyfriend Yoshi and Luigi head back to Brooklyn when Daisy shows up and SMG and we scream like as she takes Luigi with her. And then there is a post-credits scene of Iggy and Spike having a gay orgy in a Japanese restaurant, which was replaced with them meeting with two Japanese businessmen about developing a video game based on their lives. Oh, I knew that this would be the peak for video game movies. And Stu even agreed with most of the ideas. However, Rocky Morton and Hannibal Jankel looked at our script and were completely disgusted at what we did, and they said, what the fuck kind of script is this? This was supposed to be an elaborate action movie, not some disgusting porno. We are not making this version. Then I said, well, if you don't recognize mine and my brother's talent, then we won't be in this movie. Fuck you. And we left the studio, pissed off that the directors rejected our version of the movie. Though you could say it was a blessing in disguise, as this film is labeled as being one of the worst things associated with the Mario name, not to mention the film was also a critical and financial bomb. There's also stories from the cast and crew that the directors were a pain in the ass to deal with. The people who worked on this movie hated it, the cast hated it, critics hated it, Mario fans hated it, and you bet your dildos that the Cube Muppet hated it, mainly because in our take he was written as the villain and didn't get his ever so desired satisfaction, and I remember him saying, what the fuck? What kind of piece of shit role is this? Fuck off and let me be. As he stormed off, the role of King Koopa would end up going to Dennis Hopper. Iron Yoshi considers it the worst movie he's ever seen, though the movie would gather its own cult following over the years. But what did you think of the movies too?
Well, I think they should have gone with our version of the movie. I am glad that we weren't casted, though I think the film would have been more successful critically and financially if they kept us on. The horror stories I heard about working for those directors would have caused my ass hairs to fall off. I believe that the directors were eventually ousted from the Directors Guild of America. But as far as the film itself, I believe that as a sci-fi action movie, it's pretty decent in a campy, schlocky manner, but it somehow completely fails as an adaptation of the source material. Let's just hope that this new Mario movie, being produced by Illumination, is at least a tad better, but given that this is Illumination we are talking about, that's easier said than done.
I see. Well, it was swell to have you on board here to discuss our reason for not starring in the Mario movie.
It was my pleasure, Drew. Now if you will excuse me, I am going to suck off Dee Dee's toes as we watch the Rugrats reboot on Paramount+.
That's fucking disgusting. Anyway, that will be all the time we have for now. I am going to go and use a Goomba as a living butt plug now. Until next time, I am your mushroom masturbator Drew Pickles saying elimination. Please do not fuck up this next attempt at a Mario movie. See you later my sexually stimulating studs.